Let's talk about the story of George Stinney Jr., the youngest American to be executed in the 20th century. On March 23, 1944, the bodies of two young girls were found in a ditch in Alicu, South Carolina. Betty June Binnicker and Mary Emma Thames. Alicu, South Carolina was your typical Jim Crow South city. It was heavily segregated, and the white side and the black side were separated by railroad tracks. George Stinney at the time was 14 years old. He lived in company housing with his two parents, his older brother, his younger brother, and his two younger sisters. And two of the last people to see the two girls before they were killed the day before was George and his younger sister Amy. The bodies of the young girls were immediately found on the African American side of Alicu, and a search swiftly began. It wasn't long before police arrested George and his older brother John, who was 17 at the time. The police quickly released John, but continued to interrogate George without his parents being present. His parents did not see him during the entire interrogation process. Police claim that George gave a verbal confession, but no record or proof of confession has ever been found, and he was immediately taken to trial. Between selecting the jury and the trial itself, it took one day. The jury deliberated for 10 minutes. It was a white man named Charles Plowden who had been running for a local official spot, and he wouldn't dare undermine or make the police look bad. During his trial, he was giving no witnesses, and the defense made no questioning or opening statements. People testified that he was a school bully and he was mean and all this and that, just painting him as a violent person. And it took the jury 10 minutes to deliberate. Oh yeah, that jury was all white because in Alicu, South Carolina, black people couldn't vote, therefore they couldn't serve on juries. The courtroom was packed with 1,100 white people, and black people were also not allowed to be present. At this time, George's father had been fired from his job, and his family was ordered to leave town by threat of lynching. When it was all said and done, George was ordered to death by electrocution. During his electrocution, he had to sit on a Bible as a booster seat because he was too small to sit in the chair. People, including the NAACP, campaigned against the death sentence, but it was clear that the city needed someone to pin this on. Unfortunately, it was George. When asked if he had any last words, he just shook his head while crying and said no. He was executed June 16, 1944, and buried in an unmarked grave. In 2014, George's case was reopened and he was exonerated 70 years later. His old cellmate said that he asked George if he did it, and George said, "No, I didn't. Why would they kill me for something that I didn't do?"